Gather all you want to. Hello there, everybody. Well, hello, it's Wednesday. And well, glad you're here. So let me turn that down before I get it in my ear, and then that would be a drag for all of us. So, hey, good to see y'all. Thank you for stopping by. Happy birthday, David Barry. Um, another round we go. So seriously, happy birthday, dude. And everybody else that's having one, hey, enjoy it. It's your day. That's really what the journey is about. It really is about the experience. I think we're all going to figure that out. Let me just say speak favor over all of us. May there be nothing missing, nothing broken found in your life. So I got my alpha book. Yeah. I mean, I got the PDF too, but I mean, actually I've been going through here in getting the instructions for actually building the encounter hall. You're welcome, David. You are a large part of this community, and I look at you as a brother. Lost in Space, so good to see you as well. Lucky Stone, how are you, my friend? I tell you, folks, you guys really ought to go over there and check Lucky out on his channel. It's pretty cool. Yeah. He's a deep thinker like us. Hello, Hadley. How you doing? So good to see you from the Cape. Big Al, good to see you, my friend. And Big Al's my brother as well. Hello, Kaz Hawks, getting your stuff ordered. Susie Q, good to see you. Dragon Soul Fox, peace. DuPage Trading Post, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. David Castle, beloved Abstract. Stephanie, good to see you. Emperor Rex, good to see you, my friend. Alien Believers, good to see you. And everybody else, Doris, and SJW. Whew. So, my wife and I were talking this morning, and we looked at each other almost at the same time and said, you know what? I can't even take the news, not even the internet news. I mean, something is afoot, folks. It really is. And many of us can feel it. We've been sensing it for some time. Question is this it? Strange to see sometimes the commentary, because I do the Steiger Perspective over on Artists First on Thursday nights. So, I have to keep pretty much abreast as to what they say is reality. I don't believe it for a second. And it's very evident something is afoot. And I asked earlier, yeah, you can't even watch the weather. Isn't that hey, Robert V, good to see you. Grandpa Brian, hello, my friend. Lots of pollen out here today. Whew. And I have a problem with juniper. It's a evergreen, but boy. Anyway, I digress. The question I asked, are we witnessing the decline of Homo sapien? Are we seeing the collapse of our genus, Genus? And is something much bigger in afoot? It's amazing to me, the indoctrination go deep. I'm seeing it on more and more mainstream, and that's when it always gets a little weird. It's like, well, why are they making references to this? The apocalypse, the tribulation. Yeah. And it just goes to show about Homo sapiens. This book really had a lot of deep truth in it, man. I mean, it still fascinates me. It's one that I go back to because it addressed us not as, how shall I say, children. It addressed us as what I really believe we are, is a sentient species. I don't know about sovereign. because we live in a slave society. We're a slave to something. Technology, prescription pills. I mean, the system, paying taxes. Yeah, that's not freedom. And they addressed us as Homo sapiens. It's an interesting term because here's my thing. I've got a lot of email because we're still covering, the Pisios writing. We'll get to that. But there's so much else going on because one, cognitive dissonance, disassociation, causes another and another. And it's when you get the domino effect in a person's awareness that, well, they're becoming aware, they're waking up, as Neo showed us so well in his pod. So when you look at us as a species, all right, where is it written that a species has to believe in something greater to itself to where it subjugates itself? That's what Homo sapiens do. Homo sapiens do it really well. They're masters at it. And here's my thing. I was meditating this morning. By the way, Big Al, you were spot on, but I'll just hold it up to everyone else because everyone else, you can't go back and look at the beginning of the chat. But Al, you were spot on. I'll just wait to see if anyone else gets it. Here's my thing. Why would a God want to constrain his creation to nothing more than subjugating itself to it, us? I like going by the other approach that if there is a singularity of a personification, it would want just the opposite. It would want its creation to reach its full potential, to no longer become dependent on it, but to become independent of it. For that's when the species, the creation, truly comes into its own. And I contend as commentary today that until Homo sapiens wake up to that and realize that, we're going to see a continuation of the Ouroboros. We are nothing more than a dog chasing its tail, and it's all around us. And folks, we are on a very razor edge precipice. Razor edge. I don't see the intelligence of our species, of Homo sapiens. I'm not talking about races. That is completely immaterial. That's how finite we see ourselves as a species. We see ourselves as racists. And someone wrote, and I have to agree with you, what freaking race are we running then? What's the goal if we got races? I don't understand. We are Homo sapiens, but we don't recognize ourselves as Homo sapiens. We don't recognize ourselves as a genus of a species. Long lived other homos before. And there very well appears that there will be homos behind already coming up on deck. Homo meaning man. We are not the wise species. I will probably say in the future they'll rename us as Asitis, the Homo Asitis species, because Asitis is everywhere. I'm just waiting for someone of maturity, balanced intelligence to step forward and stop this madness because it's spreading. And my question is, who's really in control here? And then you begin to look at this, and then you ask yourself, well, so who's really in control of these people's thoughts? What are these people that we see tearing down society because of a social cause? Hey, I get it. But you don't tear down the house you live in. You're going to end up homeless. And if you think about that, carry that metaphor over to Homo sapiens, then what's going on? I don't know. I don't know. Is there an agenda unfolding here? And it gets down to the individual thought. I mean, this is like a virus. It has spread, and the contagion is now worldwide. And it's dark. I don't see any light about any of this. And it gets down to the individual thoughts. So, did anyone ever get the, again, Al, you got it. It is the Red Cross. You could have said red. You could have said the number 2. But anyway, there you go. Way to go. And Burning Ego is also doing really well on the scale. And this is the whole idea. So when I look at that complexity of all those issues, and then put it into the construct that I'm in, many of you are as well, it seems very foreign. I mean, it's like they said here, before the encounter can take place, one has to disassociate oneself from Homo sapiens. I can dig that now. Well, it brings it into focus, doesn't it? Cheers. So I keep on thinking, so what's going on? I mean, I'm going to get into another book today that shows that there is this spell. That's why I know magic works. Now, magic could be easily termed technology. Magic could easily be termed the other 5 senses, as Trina and I were talking about. Most of us have never given thought of actually developing those other 5 spiritual senses. Some of us are a little more advanced, but I really haven't seen anyone excel yet. I think a lot have gotten close, but we're under this perception. It permeates our consciousness. It's taught in our schools. It's written into our laws. So you can't help but not be, as they would say, converted by the time you reach puberty. It becomes very evident. Why? Well, because you find out that society has laws. There are social customs that are expected to be followed. There is a system in place that allows for just one particular point of view. They say they're all inclusive, but that's the illusion. And then 5, the trap of the density of materialism. That sucks. Why do we say that? Because we know it. We all live it. And, again, it's hard to determine what is right, what is wrong, what is real, what's an illusion, what is authentic, what is fake, what is perceived, and then what is received. We've talked about what awaits all of us, that transition. And, as I'm going back and I was going through my library, and, Jurgen, actually, I really dug how he described his experience. And we might go through this again, but if you don't have this book, you really should get it. It's an excellent read. It's one that really does cause you to think, all right, so we've got the New Testament, thing right, our very Constitution is fashioned after that, and Deuteronomy it's really weird. Then you got the ancient ones, right? They say that there is this thing, this afterlife. Each has its own description, but then you get into these minds where they say, well, now wait a minute. They have evidence talking to people who have had NDEs come back, and they have a totally different story. They don't meet no Jesus. They don't meet no devil. They don't meet any of that crap. What they do get encountered is that where I went, there is this great hall. It's what I saw. This great hall. I mean, it's unfathomable how big it is. And it has more spirit beings than what you can imagine. You can't imagine. There are stations that I saw of those who died in this physical life here that literally you wake up. You have this moment, the in-between moment, where what your perceptual view of the core is. As a person thinks, so they are. What a person believes in their heart, their spirit to be true, will be true to you, not to me. Now, eventually you get back into this flow. I mean, and it's incredible. We talk a lot, and this one here, and then you got Dr. Newton's book, and the journey of the souls. His is a little different take, but with I think over 80,000 patients that he has worked with in regressive hypnosis, as well as case studies of near-death experiences as well. There seems to be this commonality that there is, what I can only say, because I've seen that, there is a tribe. We are all a part of a group. And you think about this. Why wouldn't it be that way? There's no way that we could integrate, for instance, a mind that was here in corporeal form and then died, let's say in 1741. Now, if you met that individual, what would you two have in common? Seriously, what you couldn't, philosophy, maybe, but we would find that there would be this problem. And I don't think that just because we're of a ethereal form, spiritual form, that, again, I don't think your personality gets cleansed. I did the one that where is our spirits white? That's another thing, but another thought. And so my point to all this is that there's just a wide smorgasbord of ideas, thoughts, possibilities of what awaits us. The interesting thing within all of these different trains of thought is that there's nothing mentioned about how we can begin to prepare here to be adaptive to the new senses that we will have. And there's what I saw, that there's actually rooms where spirits are ministered to. Some are really beat up. And depending on the degree of where you are, dictates as to what your adaptation will be. So if we could come into this thing going, say, all right, with the group here, and I encourage it that others will do it as well, we need to start practicing our, what I think is a very fundamental closeness of a sixth sense is telepathy. Now, I had a fitful night of dreams last night. They were, oh man, I mean, I felt like I was on a Nickelodeon, the old ones where, you turn the crank and you'd see the picture going by and the frames. It was just really fitful. I mean, I would wake up and go back in almost that lucid dreaming, which is what it was. And that's tiring. That's all I got to say. So, what do you say, David? My latest thought I can't shift is about the saying nothing new under the sun. Nope. How about above it or through it? That's a spell. That's part of this you break spell. It goes that far back. And I don't know if the others that are non-Homo sapien, I think we got to get used to that, have put the hoodoo upon us to make us become the voodoo of their hoodoo. And I say it's time we break that spell and really start exploring. I often think that space travel will never be done in a physical body. Most likely it's going to be done in an avatar. For all intents and purposes, you will have artificial bodies out there. You can't put flesh and blood, these type bodies out into space. They weren't designed for that. And I think we're going to come to that realization. I think that's how the others do it as well. I don't know if they physically come. If they do, then they have a technology and a body that obviously would be very different from ours. So we're going to move on, but I was trying to say this because I've gotten some emails from some people that just don't listen. I don't advocate any one particular vein of thought. I've nearly for 50 years was trapped within a matrix that no matter what my natural talents were, and I'm very talented in many as you are as well. I know my magic, but I was trapped in a mind virus, a God spell that screwed the whole system up because that system is out of balance. It's inherently out of balance. And when you bring in a balanced individual who already has done the work, and all it does is make you miserable, fearful, hateful, vindictive, possessive, everything that we're not supposed to be. I contend that if we had only taught our children, and I include myself in this, if I had been taught at the young age of getting about 2, begin to implement it, that each child is a creative being, that there doesn't need to be the focus on what we so often focus in on. You know, our system here is you learn by pain. I think if we taught our children that they could learn and gain by their mental abilities, enriching their spiritualness, I'll tell you, we wouldn't have what's happening in the world today. We wouldn't. Peter West, the Greys, the bio robots. So let's get on with our study. And again, I just want to make it clear, we read a lot of books here. And I don't, again, advocate any one particular belief system. I don't think there is one particular belief system. I think that it's unlimited, unrecognized potential. That when you depart your energy from this realm, you're either going to propel yourself into your core belief of what you have already created here, or how I view it, I'm going to wait to paint my painting as I observe, because I've seen enough here. Um, yeah, I think so. So we can throw out the period of no pain, no gain. Yeah, I mean, that's how it's done here. But I don't think you have to be punished in order to be taught a lesson. All the punishment did, and let me tell you, I am a victim of that. I am victorious over the situation, but as a child, I was a victim. That's the sad thing about it. But my point is, you don't have to inflict a pain upon a human soul to teach it, right or wrong. But Homo sapiens don't understand love. We struggle. All of our existence, we struggled to find out what love is. And it's many cases proven to be very elusive for so many. But the point is, no, I don't think so. Because, listen, if that is the case, so above, as below, so above, that's a freaked up construct. So if you're punished here to be taught a lesson, then that implies you're going to be punished over there, regardless of what form you are. No. Hi there, Knight. How are you doing? No, I disagree with that. As Trina and I were talking yesterday, how can a God who says it's a God of love, which within love is the foundation of forgiveness? In fact, there is one portion it's written, putting all of your sins in the sea of forgetfulness and remembering them no more. Well, if that's the case, then what the hell do you got this contraption of this great white throne judgment crap coming up? Judge on what? I thought you said that you have a God of love. Well, if you got a God of love, love is not of punishment. Love is not of pain. Love is not of sorrow. It's just a fact. And that's the matrix we're trapped in. More people who are of one particular faith will always tell you to go to hell. But I thought it was their mission to save you from going there. And there ain't no hell, folks. I'm just telling you, there isn't any. So, what a day. Oh, you just now read the t-shirt, huh? Yeah, exactly. This is my point. I'm trying to tell you, we all have imaginary friends. Some never die. Many of us still have those imaginary friends that are still with us. We've just forgot that they're there. Think about that one. Hell is this Groundhog Day, man. Ellie, that is true. Good. That I liked. It's true. And as we age, not talking about David Barry, because David's not getting older. None of us are. The reality of the inevitability becomes very real. Departure date. We all hold a ticket, and if we could see the ticket, it would tell us exactly our moment we're departing. Now, if I could find someone that did that and tell me of the future, yeah, then I'd say you have a gifting. That truly tells me you're plugged into something. But isn't it odd how none of us want to know the day we're going to die? We all celebrate the day that we were born, but we never want to know the day that we die. Would it make you more appreciative to know the exact moment that you're going to die and what you're going to die of? Or would you be preferred to call it as it goes? Know that it's going to happen, but yeah. I mean, so with that comes, what next? The construct that is so embedded into us, because folks, the fact that Homo sapiens even believe in the construct of hell is troubling for that species. That is not an enlightened species. That's a very low intelligent species. Just be honest with you. If a species of humanids have this perception as part of their genus, there's nothing high vibration about that. It's very dense. And I'm convinced higher intelligences would pass us by. Wouldn't even want to get into the discussion. I mean, really, what would you tell them? Well, this is how we were taught. And they're going to look at you and go, really? You got the whole universe out there, the whole Milky Way, and trillions of other galaxies. And that's what the whole universe is all about when you die. You're going to, where are you going to go again? You see? And then you got the other crazy maxim that somehow you think you're going to go to a place of bliss. Most people can't even define what bliss is. Why? Because there's something in here that will not allow a thinking consciousness to continue to contemplate its demise. The thought will originate from somewhere that will counter it. And I think that that's where we get the sense of immortality. Because the brain, the consciousness, does not see itself ending. Even with the reality of the body that it inhabits, it doesn't see it. Try it. It's an experiment. Many of you are into meditation, advanced or even beginners. Think about your demise, and you'll be surprised how many these other thoughts out of nowhere come in, and they will distract you to keep your consciousness into the present. That's a weird thing. It's true. So, man, I'm having fun today. This is this is one of those far out discussions where I wish we all were able to just sit around on the, you know, couches and the floors and what have you, and, have our beverage, our libation. And because I'd love to get some of the y'all's, experience. Each one of us have this unique ability that it's almost impossible to define to someone else. And I think that that's where telekinesis, telepathy, begins to have an effect that I think begins to expand our level of awareness and intelligence that's not measured by an IQ test, the intelligence by understanding that within the realm that we are in, we're unlimited. And I still say that that's why we're here, for the experience. How many of us heard that thing? You don't want to go out of this world and say, man, I wish I'd only done that. I wish I had done that. I mean, don't let that happen. You know, it's all a matter of attitude. Don't let that happen. I have done some things I can't talk about, but I'm glad that I experienced that. It was, you know, I'll carry that with me for forever, as they would say. But anyway, Terrence McKenna. Yeah, Danny, that's absolutely correct. Yes, yes. Excellent, excellent. Uh, so, hey, there is a book I wanted to share with y'all as it slowly pulls up. Oh, yeah, I was going to look at this as well. So, y'all know that I've done a couple of shows on this. This is the NASA document called. Now, why isn't that showing? There I am. Boy, it's like really slow. It's like, do you know what? Yeah. So this was put out in July of 2001. And this is what they said would happen before 2025. Telecommuting, teleshopping, teleentertainment, teletravel, haven't, well, I guess technically, yeah, teleeducation, telemedicine, telecommerce, telepolitics, telesocialization. Wow. I mean, all of these are now front and center. You see, that's why I can't accept that, if this is what they call the tribulation, then we're inflicting it upon ourselves, or there is something of a greater intelligence driving the bus, and it ain't me. I say, let's kick out that driver, put me in there. Hell, at least I'll get us there and, we'll have fun getting there. But the point is to all of this. So July 2001. And this was discussed in the context of the IT revolution. Listen, folks, back in 2001, I mean, the internet was just, there wasn't no Amazon. There wasn't any Facebook. I was one of the early pioneers of developing B2B internet. And no, none of this. You see, this is why it's so important that we read these books that challenge the status quo, because this one here, yeah, and we'll get into more of this one. I'll tell you, it's amazing, because I could say that this is the modern day book of Revelation, because everything that is in this book has in fact happened. And of course, now it freezes up here. Okay. I don't know why everything is so suddenly so slow. But it's not going to allow me to advance. Well, let's see if it does now. No, there we go. The predictions they made in this document is quite amazing. The AI, all of this, it's this one is weird. In this worldwide economy, our ability to create wealth is not bounded by physical limits, resources, but by our ability to come up with new ideas. However, even universal wealth will not obviate the other causes of warfare, which include politics, faith, religion, megalomania, and traditional disputes. And I thought to myself, well, we are seeing all of this. Anyway, this is a cool document. If you don't have it, I'll send it to you. Just email me. because it's amazing how much of all of this has come to pass already. Oh, folks, it's weird. There's something is afoot, as they would say. Um, so as we move on, and I guess I could almost have the Jeopardy song. Yeah, it is not responding. Don't you just love it? All right. This is a great book. It's and I can hope that it behaves correctly. Actually inviting this gentleman, getting him on, he wrote it's a fabulous book. As he goes up and he says, okay, it's David Fitzgerald, 10 Christian myths that show that Jesus never existed at all. And it's a good read. And unlike the Pisios, who by the time we get finished with that book, you just get pissed off about it. I mean, if they in fact did what they said they did, what a bunch of jerks. I mean, that's all I got to say. What a bunch of jerks. That was my commentary. All right. So I just want to show you, because I got into a debate with a guy in the last video that I did. And when I see people use generalities, and specifically he said, well, 7 out of 10 historians. Well, who the freak are the historians? I mean, just don't tell me that. I don't know what that is. That's a useless poll. It means nothing. It's meaningless. And it likes this. Facts are sometimes the most radical critics of all. So let's just look at a little bit at this, because it's very interesting. The myth number one, the idea that Jesus was a myth, is ridiculous. And I can see my computer just doing all sorts of funky stuff. Here we go. I just want to read this. In matters of religion, it's very easy to deceive a man and very hard to undeceive him. Didn't there have to have been a Jesus? The most people have never heard about the ancient Greek mythographer Eumerus, who first theorized that the gods of mythology were deified human beings, and their myths based on legends sprung from accounts of real people and events. So many might be surprised to find that they are Eumericus of the subject of Jesus. That is to say, though they may not believe Jesus was divine Christ, that Christianity venerates as the Son of God and Savior of the world, and may regard accounts of miracles and wonders attending him as a mere legendary accretion, nevertheless, they certainly believe that there had to have been a central figure that began Christianity. Isn't it odd, ladies and gentlemen, that we're in this time, we don't know where we came from. There's no definitive answer where Homo sapiens originate. You can look at the record of anthropologists going all the way back to, simians. No one likes to think that, but we've talked about that. People don't like to believe that. I know. You explain where the RH factor comes in, huh? How did that get into us? And then we look at the DNA. There's only the 3% difference. But anyway, I digress. Perhaps he was just a wandering teacher or an exorcist, an apocalyptic prophet or a zealot who opposed the Romans. Perhaps he was all of these things, or even a composite of several such early first century figures. Again, could you please reference me something that was written in the year 0? I can't find anything. I've looked. I don't know what happened. I mean, I know they said that there was one BCE, and then 1 CE. But how can you have 1 without a 0? And if you ended in 1, well, then wouldn't it be 2? No, it would be, yeah, you see? Anyway, but at any rate, surely there had to be someone at the original core of Christianity, arguably the most famous individual in human history. All this seems to be a perfectly reasonable, completely natural assumption to make. So why would anyone be so foolish as to propose that Jesus never existed? I'm going to stop here because I want to do a little commentary here before we go forward, because I want to bring out some facts real quick here. Let's talk about Herod and his kingdom. This is something I haven't found anyone to give me a good explanation for, even the theologians. Herod really did care for his subjects. Now, they had different customs. Slavery was a part of everything. Slavery's been with man as long as man's been around for some reason. But anyway, Herod is not this fictional character that is portrayed in the 4 Gospels. It's the further thing from reality that you could get close to. Herod, it was a mandate within the kingdom that all children from the ages of about 5 to the time of about 17 had to go to school. Required. They were literate, knew mathematics. You look at the port at Caesarea. You don't have dumbass slaves who can't figure out complex engineering, mathematics, geometry, building the 7th, I think it was the 6th wonder of the world. And the structures that were erected, particularly all throughout Judea. Rome is a good example as well, Greece, but particularly we're talking about Judea here. So Herod had, and that's what the Romans found particularly attractive. I mean, they were a pain in the ass, but they were educated. They weren't what you picture in Hollywood, that, that these were just ignorant people, barely, nomadic at best. No, they were sophisticated. They had plumbing. Yeah, they knew how to take a crap in a large metropolitan area and do it safely, that where disease didn't spread. So here's why I've always questioned once I started reading and studying. So if this person lived, why are we even talking about it? I can show you a bust of Vespasian, his exact likeness. Got no question about that. The world doesn't question, did Genghis Khan live? Did Vespasian live? Did Cleopatra live? No. Why? Because we have historical evidence of them. Paintings, artists that would do sculptures, portraits. I ask, how could you have a population of nearly 1 million educated artists, artisans, and not one bust, not one painting? And why did it take 100 years to write the Gospels, of which they're named after, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, when they were perfectly capable of writing at the very time? Oh, the story is that they were fishermen. So that makes them illiterate? That makes them they couldn't write down anything? Are you serious? You see, that's the vagueness that we're dealing with. And that's part of the God spell. We literally believe the stories. And once Homo sapiens believe the stories, doesn't matter whether it was real or not, it's real. It happened. It's a historical fact. Theologians will tell you that it's absolutely historically correct. Everything that you've read about the miracles of this individual and the tragedy of his end is absolutely 100% historical bullshit. It is. But because of the ignorance of Homo sapiens, again, looking for an outside savior when they never realized that they themselves are their own saviors. But getting back to the point of this educated society, you know, the thing about it's really interesting about that whole region, when we know Nebuchadnezzar, we know Babylon existed. You know, talk about Saddam Hussein. He'll tell you. We also captured some ancient artifact that Saddam unearthed in ancient Babylon. Fact. But anyway, we're not talking about that. When Nebuchadnezzar came in and conquered Palestine, Judea, Samaria, all the rest of them, when they left, took the population, it's not quite right. Nebuchadnezzar only took the smart ones, the educated ones, the craftsmen, the artisans, the teachers, the philosophers. Why? An uneducated man is more of a burden to society than anything. It drags society down. And if you're into warfare and about, you know, your growth is going to be dependent upon the next country you can conquer, you don't want to take the dregs back with you. Leave them. And that's what Nebuchadnezzar did. Yeah. So the same thing with what the Romans did. Now, the Romans they just got fed up. And Titus, it's no different what Titus did than what the Nazis did in the final solution. Titus took advantage of something, and it was blood on his hands, blood on the whole religion's hand. I mean, this is, you know, the actual history. But now we're finding out that who writes the history? Well, we've always known that the victor writes history. The defeated never gets a voice. Someone says the apostles were unscholarly. I don't even think that the apostles existed. and I know it would seem that's what you think, but that's wrong. Again, if Saul of Tarsus actually lived, he would have had the equivalency of a PhD. Yeah, check me out. His family was filthy rich. He was trained. He even brags about it in the finest schools in Rome. A little thing about fishermen back in the day. You think that that was a lowly trade. Wrong. Actually, it was a very profitable business to be in. You became very wealthy as a fisherman, particularly if you were good at it. You see how we get all of these constructs so screwed up, upside down? Why? Because we have ignorant people teaching ignorant people, and the ignorancy just continues on. And then we get to the point in society where we say, well, this is truth. I mean, how many of you, if you ever go and have to take an oath, do you take an oath on that book? I don't. Mm-mm. I have no allegiance to that God. I will not swear an oath to that God. I don't believe in that God. Yeah. Yes, Michelle, I would agree with. Ignorance is a contagion. um, it's amazing. But this is what happens, and it happens so quickly with us. Our species begins to lose touch of history in less than 100 years. And then I've read just recently some of the textbooks that they talk about Vietnam. I don't know where the hell they got their Vietnam from, because that isn't the one that I experienced. That's not the one that we protested about. That's just one example. Anyway, all right, this has been fun. Never did get to where uh, amnesia is ubiquitous. That'd be a great T-shirt. I'd like that one. That was good. So, never did get to what we were going to get to. I guess we'll have to get to it tomorrow, won't we? Friday, I got Nina the Mystic coming on. Looking forward to that. And by the way, I have to give Ben Davidson a heads up. Way to go. Shout out. Yeah, way to show it, Ben. What happened to the $100 trillion that was stolen from us? Hey, that's Big Al, Stevie Ray. Oh yeah, little voodoo child, huh? Yeah. They got a statue erected about him in Austin, Texas. Love Austin, Texas. Back in the day. Oh man. Woohoo! Yeah, thank y'all. I mean, this is psychosomatic cognitive dissonance. I'm telling y'all, you got to get some T-shirts with some of that. I mean, hey, Brian, how are you doing? Good to see you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, Folks, it's just sometimes we just have to have some just good old, straight up conversations of saying, but wait a minute. How can you have two different histories? They want all of us to believe that they're somehow parallel. No. And they never tell you those early years. It's like, well, how the hell did all of this get going in here? Well, I don't know, but as one preacher used to say, I heard, this is the word of God. It's authentic, it is unquestionable, and damn be the person that does. Where the hell is this God of love at now? I'm confused. All I did was just come in and just wanted to say hello. Now you're giving me this. So anyway, David Barry, I hope you have a great birthday, my friend. Hello, Julianne Payne. Thank you for all your gifts and talents, my dear. Um, hey, it gives us, after the shows, we can always go and talk to other people. And of course, they're going to look at you and going, what'd you say? You said what? I didn't hear you say that, right? And you're going, well, yeah, you did. Folks, love, love, love. That's it, Kaz. Love, man. That's it. Favor and love. I mean, those are, wow. And then you bond that with peace. Now that is an afterlife. I'm telling y'all can come over. I'll be at the beach, and the beach is going to be looking like this. It'll have the cliffs that so many in Northern California know about. And, we're going to have a cove, and we're going to have a great fire there. We'll have some great beer, have plenty of hot tea, of course. And the music will be playing, and the love will be a-flowing. So that's how we're going to do it. 900 years old? Yeah, David. I think we can transcend Mr. McGorm. Remember that? Yeah, I like the way he did it. Just sit down, everything was alive, if you remember, in his emporium. And I think that that's how it is with us. Inanimate objects do not have to be necessarily inanimate. They're observers, to say the least. So anyway, I digress. It's time to go. Appreciate all of you. All of you. Y'all are just groovy people. It's just a pleasure to be a part of it. And we'll meet here again tomorrow. And we continue. So thank you very much. Peace to all of you. Much love and favor. All right. Bye-bye.